Before the shift to the new 12-team postseason format starting in 2022, the start of the postseason would always be one elimination game in each league, the wildcard game. Created in 2012 when the playoffs expanded from 4 to 5 teams per league, this added a new drama-filled start to the playoffs, with the 2, 4, and 5 seeds respectively duking it out in one final game to see who would join the 3 division winners in the division series. The initial 5 seeds in each league were the Orioles in the American League, who would go up against the Rangers, and the Cardinals in the National League, who would face the Braves. Both initial 5 seeds, the Orioles and Cardinals, would win their wildcard game. The Orioles would go on to be eliminated in the ALDS, whereas the Cardinals made it all the way to the NLCS before being eliminated. The last 2 wildcard games ever played before the shift to the new 16 per league format was in 2021, where in the American League, the Red Sox hosted the Yankees, and in the National League, the Dodgers would host the Cardinals. Some notable wildcard winners of the past, regardless of seeding, include the 2024 Giants and Royals, who would both make it to the World Series and engage in a 7-game classic, the 2021 Dodgers, who were a wildcard team that won 106 games but somehow didn't win their own division with the 107-win Giants, and the stars of today's video, the 2019 Nationals, who won the wildcard game and will go on to win the World Series. They're not the only wildcard team to have ever won the World Series, obviously with the aforementioned 2014 Giants, but they're still an interesting story, and this wildcard game began one of the most unlikely World Series runs in baseball history. Before we get into the game itself, let's meet the 2 teams participating and see just how they got to this point. Joining the Nationals in the wildcard game in 2019 were the Milwaukee Brewers. This team never fell under 500 all season, with the last time they were at 500 being on April 24th after they lost to the Cardinals and dropped to 13-13. The team didn't play their best baseball and just kept their heads above water through August, finishing that month with a 69-66 record, but they got hot in September, going 20-7 during the month with 2 7-game win streaks sprinkled in for good measure. On September 10th, they unfortunately lost MVP runner-up Christian Yelich after Yelich fouled a ball off his knee and broke his kneecap, which rendered him out for the season and of course the wildcard game, but that did not stop them from clinching a playoff spot on September 25th with a 9-2 win versus the Reds. In the end, the Brewers finished 89-73, granting them the 5 seed and the second wildcard slot. They finished second in the National League Central behind the division-winning Cardinals. That brings us to the 2019 Nationals, who did not have a winning month in 2019 through May. They fell to the dreaded 19-31 record on May 23rd, which gave them a 3.4% chance to make the playoffs and a less than 0.1% chance to win the World Series. However, they turned their season around, going 5-2 to end May at 24-33, and did not have a losing month in June through September. They got back to 500 on June 27th, going 40-40 with a win versus the Marlins, getting to 500 for the first time since April 23rd when they were 11-11. They fell back down to 500 just one more time after that on June 29th when they were 41-41, having won the previous day and losing on June 29th. However, this was the last time they were at 500. They went 34-17 in July and August and capped their season with a 17-11 December. They clinched on September 24th as they swept a doubleheader against the Phillies, and the Cubs would lose to the Pirates. In the end, this team finished second in the NL East behind the Braves with a record of 93-69, granting them the 4th seed and home field advantage in the wildcard game. October 1st, 2019, Nationals Park, Washington, D.C. Attendance for the wildcard game, 42,993. Both teams are sending all-star starters to lock horns. Max Scherzer gets the ball for the Washington Nationals, Brandon Woodruff for the Brewers. Their final lines, Scherzer, 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, 3 walks, 3 earned runs, 6 strikeouts, and 2 home runs given up. Woodruff, 4 innings pitched, 2 hits, 0 walks, 1 earned run, 2 strikeouts, 1 home run. This game can be broken down into 3 parts: early scoring, middle inning piece, late inning insanity. The early scoring got started right away. In the top of the first, Trent Grisham, the leadoff batter for the Brewers, drew a walk, and their second batter, Yasmani Grandal, hit a 2-run home run off Max Scherzer. In the top of the second, after a quiet first inning for the Nationals, Eric Thames followed suit, hitting a solo home run off Scherzer to get the game to 3-0. The Nationals would respond in the bottom of the third, with a solo home run by Trey Turner cutting the lead down to 3-1. As mentioned, the middle innings brought some peace to this game. Both starters settled down. Scherzer was scoreless after the first 2 innings, and after the Trey Turner home run, Woodruff also allowed no more damage. After that, it turned into a battle between the bullpens. On the Brewers side, Bruce Sutter and Drew Pomeranz threw 3 innings of scoreless relief between the two. On the Nationals side, Steven Strasburg, a starter usually, came out of the bullpen to pitch the 6th, 7th, and 8th inning scoreless for the Nationals. That brings us to the late inning insanity, the bottom of the 8th. Leading 3-1, Milwaukee calls on their closer, Josh Hader. Keep in mind, this is early career Josh Hader. This man was accustomed to pitching 2+ innings. He had done so 14 times in 2019, with a final stat line that year, not including the wildcard game, of 61 games pitched, a 2.62 ERA in 75 2/3 innings, and 16.4 strikeouts per 9 innings. Good enough for an all-star selection. The leadoff batter, Victor Robles, strikes out swinging. 1 out. The second batter, a pinch hitter for pitcher Steven Strasburg, Michael A. Taylor. He gets hit by pitch, putting a runner on first base. The third batter, the earlier home run hitter Trey Turner, strikes out swinging. 2 outs. The fourth batter is a pinch hitter for Adam Eaton, Mr. National Ryan Zimmerman. He singles to center field, advancing the runner to third and ending up on first base himself. Zimmerman is then pinch ran for by Andrew Stevenson. And the fifth batter, Anthony Rendon, comes up. He draws a walk to load the bases. And then the final batter of the inning, Juan Soto. He singles to right field, bringing in 2 runners on the play, and an infamous error by Trent Grisham allows the third run to score, giving the Nationals a 4-3 lead. Juan Soto would be thrown out in the base pass, but at that point, he did not care. The Nationals had the lead and needed 3 more outs to go to the division series. Top of the 9th, Daniel Hudson on for the save. Daniel Hudson was traded to the Washington Nationals on July 31st, 2019 by the Toronto Blue Jays, and in his time with the Nationals had been awesome. 24 games, a 1.44 ERA in 25 innings. The inning goes as follows. Leadoff batter, Eric Thames, who had hit a home run off Scherzer in the second inning. He strikes out swinging. Second batter, longtime Brewer, Lorenzo Cain. He singles to center field, putting a runner on. Third batter, young shortstop Orlando Arcia. He pops out to the catcher. 2 outs. And the fourth batter, Ben Gamel. He puts the ball in play, but flies out to center field. Ball game, Nationals win. In the National League Division Series, the Nationals faced off against the 1 seed, the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Dodgers in 2019 won 106 games and were the clear favorite going into the series. And they showed that in Game 1, as the Dodgers beat the Nationals 6-0. Game 2, the Nationals would respond, winning 4-2 in LA, bringing the series back to Washington, tied at a game apiece. Game 3, the Nationals would lose 10-4, and now needed 2 straight wins to keep their season alive. With Max Scherzer on the mound in Game 4, they got the first step, winning 6-1, forcing a winner-take-all Game 5. In Game 5, the game went to 10 innings, and the Nationals won 7-3. In the 8th inning, Rendon and Juan Soto went back-to-back off of Clayton Kershaw to tie the game at 3, and in the 10th, Howie Kendrick made himself a hero by hitting a grand slam off Joe Kelly. The NLCS is a much shorter story. 4 games, 4 Nationals wins, a sweep against St. Louis. Their starters especially shine here. Game 1 starter Anibal Sanchez went 7 2/3 scoreless innings. Game 2 starter Max Scherzer went 7 scoreless. Game 3 starter Steven Strasburg went 7 innings with 0 earned runs, but did give up 1 run total. And in Game 4, Patrick Corbin went 5 innings, giving up 4 earned runs, good enough for a win as the offense picked him up. That brings us to the World Series of 2019. Washington Nationals against Houston Astros, the series of home field disadvantage. Game 1 and 2 on the road in Houston. Washington wins both games by scores of 5-4 and 12-3. Games 3, 4, and 5 in front of their home fans in Washington, the Nationals lose 3 straight, losing 1-4, 1-8, and 1-7, meaning they went back to Houston down 3-2, needing 2 straight wins yet again to keep their season alive and win the World Series. They delivered, winning Game 6 by a score of 7-2, and Game 7 by a score of 6-2, closing out the series, bringing home their first World Series title. The offseason from 2019 to 2020 would prove to be a busy one for the Nationals, who of course want to build on the momentum they built in the playoffs in 2019. Returning to the roster from the World Series were Yan Gomes and Daniel Hudson on 2-year contract, Howie Kendrick, Asdrubal Cabrera, Michael A. Taylor and Ryan Zimmerman on 1-year deals. The Nationals also exercised club options on Sean Doolittle and Adam Eaton, bringing both of them back. And of course, the big one, they signed Steven Strasburg to a 7-year, $245 million mega deal. They also brought in some new faces, adding relief pitcher Kyle Finnegan, relief pitcher Will Harris on a 3-year deal, infielder Starlin Castro on a 2-year deal, and first baseman Eric Thames, remember him from the wildcard game, on a 1-year deal. However, they didn't bring back everybody. They lost Brian Dozier to the Padres and Matt Adams to the Mets, and they also lost, quote unquote, Anthony Rendon to the Angels on a 7-year, $245 million deal. I don't think Nationals fans really regret this, considering this has turned out to be one of the worst deals in baseball history. Over the next seasons, the Nationals did not finish over 500 up until the present day. They have finished 5th in their division every year but 2024, where they finished ahead of the Miami Marlins. Of course, losing like this puts a team in a situation where they're gonna make some big trades. And that started at the 2021 trade deadline, where they traded Max Scherzer and Trey Turner, 2 of their superstars, to the Los Angeles Dodgers, getting catcher Keibert Ruiz, pitcher Josiah Gray, Gerardo Carrillo, and Donovan Casey in return. Keibert Ruiz and Josiah Gray are still with the Nationals, we'll talk about them later, but Gerardo Carrillo and Donovan Casey both left as minor league free agents. This wasn't the only big move they made, as at the 2022 trade deadline, they traded superstar Wunderkind Juan Soto and first baseman Josh Bell to the Padres. This time they got in return first baseman Luke Voigt, who left as a free agent after 2022, minor league shortstop CJ Abrams, pitcher Mackenzie Gore, Robert Hassel III, James Wood, and Jarlin Susana. With those 2 trades in mind, let's look at the present and what the future looks like for the Nationals. Their blockbuster trade acquisitions are performing decently well. Mackenzie Gore, currently 25 years old, holds a 4.13 ERA, good for a 100 ERA plus in 2 years, or 302 2/3 innings pitched with the Nationals up to this point. Josiah Gray, 26 years old right now, currently holds a 4.80 ERA, good for an 85 ERA plus, in parts of 4 seasons with the Nationals. He's pitched a total of 378 2/3 innings for the Nationals, but is currently injured with a torn UCL. So we'll see when he returns and how he does when he gets back. As for the position players, Keibert Ruiz, the 26-year-old catcher, has a 249, 297, and 380 as his triple slash, good for a 676 OPS or a 90 OPS plus in parts of 4 seasons as the Nationals backstop. CJ Abrams, the 24-year-old shortstop, has hit 247, 303, and 410 as his triple slash, good for a 713 OPS or 98 OPS plus in parts of 3 seasons as the National shortstop. However, he's currently in the minor leagues after a internal issue. Outfielder James Wood, 22 years old at the moment, made his debut in 2014, playing 79 games, so he's not really anywhere where you can evaluate his potential future value or his present value for that matter. As for some of the other guys, Robert Hassel III is currently in AAA, and Jarlin Susana is currently in High A. Overall, from an outsider's view, this is a decent look for the Nationals' future core. In conclusion, the wildcard game in 2019, one of the last of its kind, kickstarted one of the most unlikely World Series run in recent history, and was just a awesome game to watch and rewatch many times over the years. Granted, the time after 2019 was a mess for the Nationals, who made, in my opinion, the right call to tear down their core of Max Scherzer, Juan Soto, and Trey Turner and rebuild. Plus, of course, the injury bug that bit Steven Strasburg and riddled his contract and accumulated in Steven Strasburg's retirement from thoracic outlet syndrome just this year didn't help much with all this. However, currently the Nationals are in a decent enough spot. Their farm system is currently ranked middle of the pack at 14th according to Fangraphs, and many young players, Ruiz, Gore, Josiah Gray, James Wood, CJ Abrams, just to name a few, are slowly coming into their own and ready to take the spotlight at the big leagues. With the right moves, I anticipate the Nationals being able to improve upon their 79-91 record in the 2025 season once that gets going. But as always, it's baseball, anything can happen, and whether or not this video ages very poorly or like fine wine, we'll just have to wait and see. I hope you enjoyed this little excursion back to 2019 and the wildcard game that began this miracle playoff run for the Nationals. If you did enjoy it, feel free to leave a like and subscribe, and leave a comment with any suggestions, topics, or whatever else you may have to say. Until next video, I'll see you then. Goodbye.